giving peace back to the world. Chu Yifeng sneered internally. Han Yuan was still trying to test him at this time. He flicked his long hair. Junior sister, we've followed our teacher for so many years. Do you want the teacher to see that you've regressed to being useless? To Wu Dao, a useless chess piece was destined to die. If Han Yuan gave Wu Dao that impression, Wu Dao would dare to kill her immediately, then place another soul into her body to take her place. Han Yuan shivered, cold sweat streaming down her back. What are you talking about, senior brother? How could I possibly regress? I'll take you to the teacher. In order to prove she hadn't regressed or become a waste, Han Yuan quickened her pace, leading Chu Yifeng up the mountain. Chu Yifeng snorted coldly and followed behind her. Han Yuan was not completely useless to him. For instance, he had never been to Wu Dao's palace. Wu Dao was extremely meticulous and had only allowed Han Yuan and Rongsheng, who were unable to perform martial arts, to visit. And upon returning, he erased Rongsheng's memory to prevent her from going there without permission. As for Han Yuan, on the way, she told Chu Yifeng, "The teacher doesn't allow me to remember the place either. But the drug he used was developed by me, so of course, I have ways to preserve my own memory." I see. Chu Yifeng nodded. Han Yuan led Chu Yifeng up the mountain, and upon seeing Wu Dao, she started pouring out her grievances. Teacher, Chu Yihan didn't fall for it. Down the mountain, Qin Mayan and Su Hao also made their move. Their offensive was too fierce. I had no choice but to seek you out. Foolish. Who asked you to come? Wu Dao's dark gaze shifted to Chu Yifeng, and his hoarse voice was icy cold. What's going on? Why hadn't Chu Yihan died yet? And why had Chu Yifeng appeared here? Chu Yifeng stepped forward nonchalantly. Teacher, after all, Chu Yihan is the 9th prince. He escaped in Yungue City, but I've already sent people after him. He won't survive the day. Humph. Wu Dao snorted coldly. You too, if you ruin my big plans, I'll take your lives. Han Yuan trembled all over. Accustomed to strutting around as a princess, she now realized in front of Wu Dao that she was not any princess, but just a student brought over by Wu Dao. If she didn't do as he said and didn't satisfy him, he would kill her. Her life was in Wu Dao's hands. Han Yuan said in a low voice, Teacher, no, I've already sent the Qi State Army to resist Qin Mayan. With Chu Yihan dead, the troops led by Su Hao won't be able to amount to much. Your wish will certainly be fulfilled, and you will become the supreme ruler of the world. It had better be so. Wu Dao seated himself in the highest chair. This was a chair carved out of black jade, a color as reclusive as Wu Dao, but this black jade was also a dragon throne. The dragon was, after all, a symbol of power and domination. Even Wu Dao from a different world believed this to be true. He sent Hong Lian to check the situation at the foot of the mountain, but instead of news of the enemy's defeat, he received, Princess, disaster has struck. The 9th prince is not dead. He's leading his army, surrounding the mountain, and even charging up, saying he wants to. In his excitement, Yin Dan accidentally met Wu Dao's gaze and nearly had his heart ripped out from fright. Wants Tohat. Irritatingly, Wu Dao was drawn by his attention, and his somber gaze fell upon him. Yin Dan lowered his head, not daring to answer. Han Yuan kicked him hard. The teacher is asking you a question. Speak up quickly. Yin Dan's pale lips trembled for a moment before responding. He said he wants to kill your teacher and give this world some peace. The final game. Chu Yifeng lightly tugged at the corner of his mouth. Tisk, such an overconfident person should be trapped by the teacher in a secret room and slowly played to death. Han Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Chu Yihan is overestimating himself. Once caught, let me handle him on teacher's behalf, so the teacher won't have to bother. The man she liked was naturally supposed to fall into her hands, to be tormented by her. She had just tempered his sharpness, so he would kneel at her feet, willingly serving her. Wu Dao didn't pay any attention to the back and forth between these two, instead pondering why Chu Yihan hadn't died. Yungue City was Chu Yifeng's territory, and even if he was somewhat rebellious, he was still brought there by his teacher. It made no sense for him to still harbor brotherly affection for Chu Yihan. Yifeng, go bring Chu Yihan and Qin Mayan to me. If they resist, kill. Wu Dao ordered coldly and viciously. All right, teacher, I'll go now and bring their heads to you. Chu Yifeng replied languidly, his lazy posture carrying a sovereign's air. Wait, senior brother, don't kill Chu Yihan. Han Yuan still wanted to spare Chu Yihan's life, but Wu Dao suddenly glared at her. If you can't bear it, go die with him. Upon hearing this, Han Yuan shuddered, immediately turning to face Wu Dao. I was wrong, teacher. Please kill him. It doesn't matter. After she spoke those words, Wu Dao's animosity towards her lessened. Although Han Yuan felt it was a pity for Chu Yihan to die, compared to her own life, he truly wasn't worth mentioning. Perhaps in the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces, there wouldn't be anyone like him with a divine countenance that fascinated her. But one must be alive to enjoy being served by them. If she were dead, there would be nothing left. Liking him was one thing, but deep inside her modern soul, she lacked the foolish sentimentality to die for love. Dead people are stupid and deserve nothing. Chu Yifeng went down the mountain and came face to face with Chu Yihan and Qin Mayan. Both were commanders of armies. Awe-inspiring and imposing, nowhere near their prior wounded and dispirited condition. Excitement sparked in Qin Mayan's eyes. Is Wu Dao on the mountain? Chu Yifeng nodded. Yes, the mountain's defenses aren't hard to breach. No matter how many assassins the West Pavilion had or how powerful their martial arts were, they were insignificant compared to thousands of troops. Yet Chu Yihan frowned. Did you see her? Her referred to Suing Xue. Without news of her, he continued to feel uneasy. No, but you sent Mochi to find her. It would be hard for anything to happen to her. Chu Yifeng pointed towards the mountain. Now was the best opportunity to eliminate Wu Dao. Missing it would lead to a catastrophe for the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces. Without hesitation, Chu Yihan ordered Su Hao to hold the base of the mountain, while he and Qin Mayan led the troops straight up the mountain to attack Wu Dao's palace. Inside the grand hall, the sounds of combat grew closer, causing Wu Dao to furrow his brows. What's going on? Chu Yifeng had gone to eliminate the people below. The noise shouldn't have traveled up. Han Yuan was actually excited. Senior brother must be overpowering the enemy, capturing them all alive, right? As she excitedly rushed out, an arrow struck her, piercing through her body and pinning her to the wall. With a poo, the powerful inner strength behind the arrow inflicted severe damage to Han Yuan, causing her to spit out blood violently. How could this happen? Han Yuan's eyes widened in disbelief. Wasn't Chu Yifeng supposed to be capturing people? Why were they attacked instead? Call Hong Lian over. Sensing something was amiss, Wu Dao ordered someone by his side. He captured Rongsheng. Wu Dao sat on the dragon throne, his hands gripping the black jade-carved dragon heads, his body shrouded in black from head to toe. He watched Chu Yihan and Qin Mayan charge towards him, their momentum surging, without showing any superfluous expression. Only his voice, already hoarse, sounded even more sinister. Chu Yifeng, you dare to betray me. Chu Yifeng hadn't charged to the front, yet Wu Dao mentioned him first. He responded calmly. That's right, I think this should have been within your expectations. Expected? Huh? Wu Dao laughed coldly. Just because I tested you a few years ago, so you hold a grudge against your teacher, me? He arranged for his younger brother to bring people to kill him today? If Wu Dao hadn't been so nonchalant, Chu Yifeng might have thought he remembered those days of living worse than death incorrectly. But certain memories are etched in the bones, intertwined with the soul. His lips curled up with an extremely wicked smile. I wouldn't say I hold a grudge. Simply put, I also want to kill you. The reason wasn't very noble, not for the sake of the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces or anything, but simply because he wanted to kill Wu Dao. This person was too cruel. His existence made him uncomfortable. You also want to kill me? Wu Dao's eyes narrowed dangerously. Don't forget, it was I who brought you here. Without me, you would still be in that laboratory, endlessly repeating those boring experiments. You'd never see the light of day. Spend a lifetime locked in a laboratory. No matter if one made world-shaking scientific discoveries, no matter how much one contributed to the country, they could never stand at the pinnacle of power, sit in the position above 10,000 people. Such a life would be pitiful. It was he who took notice of him, allowing him the chance to come here, to borrow the identity of a prince and assume the position of Silver Moon Pavilion Master. All of this, it was all given to him by Wu Dao. I'm sorry, I've never seen what this so-called dark lab looks like. I, Chu Yifeng, was born a prince of the great Qing dynasty, of noble identity, a dragon among men. Chu Yifeng's lips twisted into a light sneer. Everyone heard the sound of Wu Dao's sharp intake of breath. Did Rongsheng help you deceive me? Wu Dao's eyes, filled with blood vessels, were barely visible. Ominous and terrifying. After training for so long, setting up for so long, and even testing repeatedly, Chu Yifeng wasn't the soul he had brought in. He was not his student. Ow. How could this be? Han Yuan was pinned against the wall, her eyes wide with shock. Her medical skills saved her from being killed by Chu Yihan's arrow, as she used surgical tools to remove the arrow. But she had lost too much blood and her complexion was deathly pale. She begged Wu Dao for help. Teacher, save me. I will never betray you. I will always be your student. We came here together, didn't we? Chu Yifeng wasn't a modern soul, but she was. She still wanted to share the prosperity with Wu Dao. She also wanted to be the emperor of a nation. Useless thing, you can't even save yourself, why should I keep you? Wu Dao's attitude was exceptionally cold. In his eyes, Han Yuan was just a student who did tasks for him. Useful when needed, no effort spared when not. Especially in the current situation. Chu Yifeng, who you are, is irrelevant, Wu Dao said with a cold laugh. With a wave of his hand, Hong Lian seized someone, appearing behind him. Isn't that Princess Bailing? Qin Mayan recognized Rongsheng. He had met Rongsheng previously when he had gone to Bailing City. She was memorable. Behind him, the soldiers of Bailing City were also shocked. Their princess was in Wu Dao's grasp. Let her go. Chu Yifeng's eyes turned blood red the moment he saw Rongsheng being captured, a bloodthirsty gleam taking over his gaze. Chu Yifeng is also bloodthirsty. If you don't kill these people, I will kill her immediately. Wu Dao raised his hand, clad in a black glove, and with a slight movement of his fingers, Hong Lian throttled Rongsheng's neck. Ugh! Rongsheng's face conveyed a look of agony. Chu Yifeng's heart felt as if it had split open, and he started to lose his reason. I'll say it once more, let her go. If Wu Dao dared to kill Rongsheng, he would ensure Wu Dao was ground to dust. East Pavilion Master, don't rush. The strength in my grip won't let Princess Rongsheng die so quickly, but if you don't listen to the Pavilion Master's words. A cold smile spilled from Hong Lian's lips. Do you believe that if you touch her again, whatever happened to me will be returned to you tenfold, 100-fold? Chu Yifeng's eyes were bloodshot, cold and bloodthirsty. He could be capriciously charming at times, but now he resembled a demon who had crawled out of hell, with a sinister, bloodthirsty light in his eyes. You have no right to negotiate terms with me. Kill these two people, or she will be the one to die. Wu Dao said in an even tone, obviously not regarding Rongsheng as his student, caring only for her utility. His gaze fell upon Chu Yihan and Qin Mayan. Chu Yifeng almost didn't hesitate, drawing the knife from a Hong's hand and striking at Qin Mayan. Boom! The doors of the hall were split open. Chu Yifeng's moves were fierce, each strike lethal. Qin Mayan was forced to defend himself, looking towards Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan, what will you decide? This man was Chu Yihan's own brother. If not for their alliance, he wouldn't have tolerated so many attacks. Chu Yihan blocked Chu Yifeng's blade with the Qingfeng sword, stepping in front of Qin Mayan. Chu Yifeng, calm down. Enough talk. No one is allowed to hurt her, no one. Chu Yifeng yelled with all his might, his moves against Chu Yihan merciless, each slash aimed with lethal ferocity. Chu Yifeng, stop. Rongsheng struggled to speak. She couldn't bear to watch this man go mad for her. Her death should not involve others. And if anyone must die, it should be Wu Dao. He's a madman. You won't be able to wake him. Wu Dao laughed darkly. Rongsheng suddenly saw a cunning glint in his eyes and couldn't believe it. You knew all along? Chu Yifeng was not a spirit from another world. He played his part very well, said Wu Dao, with a hint of scorn in his eyes. He did not know that Chu Yifeng had not died, that Rongsheng had secretly saved him. But that was not important. The subsequent trials he put Chu Yifeng through were tortures and aggressive compulsion. As long as Chu Yifeng loved Rongsheng to the point of madness. whose soul he was didn't matter at all, did it? By capturing Rongsheng, he could always seize Chu Yifeng's lifeblood. Just like Chu Yihan, he was born with an innate bloodthirst. Wu Dao had forced him to manifest the symptoms in the past years. Now let the two brothers fight it out. Swish. Chu Yifeng's blade sliced open Chu Yihan's back. If not for Qin Mayan's timely assistance, Chu Yihan would have been gravely wounded. Qin Mayan pulled Chu Yihan back, warning in a cold voice, "If you give in any further, you'll be a ghost under his blade." He could hardly imagine that being his real brother, how could he deal such harsh blows to Chu Yihan? "He's the same as me." Chu Yihan coughed up blood, the sight of Chu Yifeng's blood-red eyes pulling at his heart with a wrenching pain. All of this, because of Wu Dao. He joined forces with Qin Mayan, and they subdued Chu Yifeng. Chu Yihan pressed down hard on Chu Yifeng's back. "Chu Yifeng, wake up. Let go of me." Chu Yifeng, his eyes blood-red, looked up at Rongsheng. She was pale from the difficulty breathing, and her eyes closed painfully. Rongsheng pushed him away. "Sister. Sister." Chu Yifeng roared furiously. "Rongsheng cannot be harmed by anyone. No one can touch her. Only he can. Only he can torment her, trap her, and keep her by his side." The scene of brothers Chu Yifeng and Chu Yihan devastating each other greatly pleased Wu Dao. When the three of them fought to a mutual defeat, Wu Dao triggered the mechanism under his command, and the assassins from Silver Moon Pavilion streamed in, tightly encircling the three while their respective troops were blocked outside. "Chu Yihan, we are surrounded," Qin Mayan realized, grinding his teeth in frustration. If he could free up his hands even a little, it wouldn't be this situation. But the moment he let go, this Chu Yifeng would take the lives of all of them, leading them to a mutual destruction. Rongsheng maintained a pained expression on her face, deceiving Wu Dao, and she swiftly pulled out a syringe from her sleeve and stabbed it into Hong Lian's body. A numbing sensation spread throughout her body, and Hong Lian instantly felt dizzy and fell backward. As a result, Rongsheng was able to break free. With a cold voice she called out, "Chu Yifeng. Sister." Chu Yifeng immediately stopped and turned to look at her. His heart was lifted high with worry. Rongsheng pressed a syringe against her carotid artery. "This drug can kill me instantly. Chu Yifeng, wake up." Even at the brink of life and death, her face, cold and detached as a deity's, showed little expression. But nobody could see the reluctance and heartache in her eyes. Alfeng, she could no longer accompany him day and night. Over the past years, she had devoted all her energy to protecting him, fearing he would suffer even the slightest harm. She helped him conceal his identity and taught him to be a modern man with an open mind. He had done it all. Yet she still couldn't protect him. Wu Dao had injured him. "I'm sorry." Rongsheng closed her eyes, took a deep breath and pressed down on the syringe. "Don't. Rongsheng. You're not allowed to die. You cannot die." Chu Yifeng's eyes bloodshot as he lunged toward Rongsheng. Wu Dao, clutching a box, moved swiftly beside Rongsheng and seized her wrist. Rongsheng frowned in disgust. "Let go." She hated being touched by anyone. "You are my student. You are not permitted to die without my consent." Wu Dao's voice ominously spread throughout the hall. Rongsheng struggled vigorously in his grip, sensing that Wu Dao's body wasn't in good shape. His illness had even worsened. "Wu Dao, you are unprincipled and immoral, unworthy of living in this world." Rongsheng gripped the syringe in her right hand, intending to stab it into Wu Dao's body. A fierce glint crossed Wu Dao's eyes. "Your usefulness spared your life, but seeking death." He overpowered Rongsheng, holding her right hand and mercilessly stabbed the syringe into her body. "Ah!" Rongsheng's face turned deathly pale. "Wu Dao, how dare you?" Chu Yifeng's eyes were on the verge of splitting open as he charged madly forward, stabbing Wu Dao with a knife, and fiercely pushing him away. He caught Rongsheng's frail body, his eyes filled with panic. "Sister." Relying on him, Rongsheng had a tender look, opened her mouth intending to say something, but suddenly pushed Chu Yifeng away. "Be careful." Thud. The knife lodged in Wu Dao's body pierced into Rongsheng's abdomen. What she blocked was precisely Chu Yifeng's back. Chu Yifeng screamed in frenzy. "Ah!" He made a move to kill Wu Dao, but for some reason, he couldn't catch up at all. Wu Dao was like a shadow. Chu Yifeng couldn't hit him, but he got stabbed from behind by him. Cough! Blood dripped from the corner of Chu Yifeng's mouth. Do not kill Rongsheng, Chu Yifeng. Feng! Chu Yihan and Rongsheng's cries rang out simultaneously. Chu Yihan rushed forward, failed to hurt Wu Dao, caught Chu Yifeng's body, pulled his arm over his shoulder for support. Sister! Chu Yifeng's trembling hand pointed toward Rongsheng. Wu Dao held a box in his hand and quickly moved to her side again. Rongsheng coolly shook her head at them. Don't come over, he can travel freely. This box, you can't hurt him, don't come. If someone must die, let it be her alone. Don't drag Chu Yifeng into this. If you don't come, just watch her die. Wu Dao took a syringe from his sleeve, filled with black liquid that looked terrifying. Afraid of my own drug? Rongsheng's flawless face curved into a scornful smile. When you developed this painkiller, you should have thought of the consequences of an overdose, Wu Dao said with contempt in his eyes, facing his proud student. Rongsheng scoffed. What goes to extremes must reverse. A highly effective painkiller can quickly relieve pain, but at double the dose, it will bring double the pain. Right now, with the number of injuries on her body, Wu Dao's injection would cause her double the pain, an agony so intense she'd wish for death, followed by bleeding out. Stop it! Wu Dao, you stop right there. Chu Yifeng struggled free from Chu Yihan. Even if he had been stabbed, he tried to get to Rongsheng's side. Pfft! Hong Lian, having recovered, struck him in the chest with a palm. Chu Yifeng was knocked to the ground. Hong Lian's eyes were slightly narrowed, letting out a light snort. Rongsheng had pricked her with a needle, and this palm was returning the favor on Chu Yifeng. Rongsheng, looking at Chu Yifeng with blood flowing everywhere, a tear slid from the corner of her eye. Chu Yifeng's mouth curled up in a triumphant smile. Sister, are you crying for me? He knew Rongsheng wouldn't just watch him with cold eyes. Deep down, she still cared for him. The highly effective painkiller began to work in her body. Rongsheng's complexion turned pale and purplish, as she tried hard to keep her eyes open to look at Chu Yifeng a few more times. She never knew she would find it so hard to let go of him. She had always only sought to escape him. This is the consequence of betraying me. Wu Dao opened the box in his hand. An intense light burst forth, blinding to the eye. When everyone could see a bit clearer, they observed the box emitting a blue glow, with a figure forming within it, as if a real person were about to emerge. Rongsheng, in excruciating pain, bit her lip. Stop him. He's about to bring another person here. We can't let him succeed. A new modern soul, to replace hers. Or any one of them, to become complicit in his evil. You won't succeed in harming the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces. Qin Mian yelled as he struck at Wu Dao. But once Wu Dao closed the box, he could teleport again, making Qin Mian's blade swing miss. Wu Dao's forbidding gaze fell on Rongsheng. He commanded Hong Lian, kill her. He originally wanted her to be tormented to death, but she talked too much. With the last of her strength, Rongsheng shouted, don't let him open the box. No one else should come to this world and wreak havoc. They couldn't disrupt the balance of this world, turn beauty into ruins. Seeking death. Hong Lian grasped Rongsheng's collar. With one palm, she could pierce through her skull. Just as Chu Yifeng got up, Wu Dao, having teleported over, injected him with a needle. His body went numb. He fell hard to the ground, watched helplessly as Hong Lian's palm, filled with inner strength, descended towards Rongsheng, and he screamed with all his might. No! The true face of Wu Dao crack. The sound of the whip striking flesh echoed, followed by Hong Lian's agonized scream. Su Yingxue, clad in a red outfit, descended from the sky with a heroic flare. Before Hong Lian could react, Su Yingxue lashed her fiercely with the whip, flaying her skin and drenching her in blood. Su Yingxue. Hong Lian collapsed to the ground, eyes wide with shock. How are you not dead? How is this possible? Su Yingxue was personally placed in a carriage by her and thrown into the sea. How could she still be alive? I didn't die, but you are about to, Su Yingxue declared authoritatively. She swung the red jade soft whip, wrapping it around Hong Lian, hurling her into the air. Normally Hong Lian could have landed safely, being highly skilled in martial arts, but having been shot with a needle, She lost consciousness as soon as she hit the ground. Her body crashed down heavily, a thud, serving as a reminder to everyone of Su Yingshu's arrival. Chu Yihan's lips curled into a slight smile. Qin Mayan's eyes sparkled with excitement. Yingxue. He had always known that someone as intelligent as her would not succumb to misfortune easily. Outside the door, the soldiers who had been held back also fought their way in with great effort. Only Wu Dao, his hand clutching the box, was trembling. Under his black hat, a pair of impure eyes filled with bloodshot veins as if he found her presence more blinding than the sunlight. Whoosh! Wu Dao moved with a gust of angry wind, reaching Su Yingshu's side almost instantly and striking without hesitation. Su Yingxue felt a piercing pain and her body weakened, drooping downwards. She hung her head low, resembling a meteor in the night sky, a fleeting beauty that made people believe she was their savior. Su Yingxue, you don't deserve to live. Even if I didn't kill you before, you want escape now. From the corner of the wall, the severely injured Han Yuan spoke with scorn. She despised Su Yingxue. She had stolen the man she loved, caused her to be humiliated, and even usurped her teacher's appreciation. Such a person deserved to die. Su Yingxue had no right to live in the same world as her. Wu Dao looked down at Su Yingxue, his voice gloomy and hoarse like a sand-laden autumn wind from the north. If you hadn't come, you might have lived a little longer. But she had to appear before him at this moment. He couldn't convince himself to let her go now, especially just now, when he saw her face that looked exactly like Long Shuli's. If I hadn't come, how would I kill you? Su Yingxue, kneeling on the ground, moved in a flash, flipping off Wu Dao's hat, and forcefully tore off his cape, letting his gloves that were attached to his body fall to the ground as well. Wu Dao was instantly laid bare, like a stripped man. Ah! The moment his body was exposed to light, Wu Dao cried out in terror. My God! Is that even a human? Looks more like a ghost. So ugly. As people murmured, Su Yingxue had already placed a luminous pearl the size of a fist on the black jade dragon chair, causing the glazed tiles in the hall to reflect the sunlight, instantly lighting up the great hall. In the sunlight, Wu Dao's grotesque features became clearer to everyone's eyes. He had no hair. The skin on his scalp was covered in red patches. No, not just the scalp. His face, his hands, every visible patch of his skin was red and blotchy, crisscrossed and mottled, looking as hideous and terrifying as a demon from hell. Furthermore, his whole body was thin to the bone, like a skeletal head wrapped in skin. Because of his gauntness, his fearfully widened eyes seemed even more horrifying. Ghosts that fear the light. Su Yingshu's eyes flashed with satisfaction as she stared at the ghost-like frightened Wu Dao. You fear the light, but I want you to see that this world belongs to those who live under the sun, not to a monstrous being like you who thinks he can control everything. This world belonged to them, not to Wu Dao's Azura realm. Wu Dao covered his face and retreated backward, his voice urgent and panting. Su Yingxue, don't be so smug. Once he obtained the box, Su Yingxue would die. She must die. Behind Su Yingxue, Rongsheng spoke up to remind her. Yingxue, take that box, it's the product of scientific research, destroy it quickly. Destroy it? Only then would Wu Dao's hope be destroyed. Then Wu Dao wouldn't be able to do anything. Su Yingshu's eyes hardened as she saw Wu Dao crawling towards the spot where the box had fallen. She immediately lashed out with her whip, sending the box flying and foiling Wu Dao's attempt to grab it. Without the box, Wu Dao became weak and powerless, collapsing on the ground, unable to even get up immediately. Chu Yihan leapt forward, capturing Wu Dao and pressing the Qingfeng sword against his neck, ready to take Wu Dao's life at any moment. Qin Mayan went out to have the palace surrounded and thoroughly eradicate Wu Dao's dark forces, clearing them out completely, including capturing Han Yuan and Hong Lian. On the other side of the black jade dragon chair, Chu Yifeng, holding his wound, ran to Rongsheng and embraced her tightly, rubbing against her forcefully. Senior sister. Senior sister. His blood-stained Rongsheng's snow-white clothes red. Rongsheng, enduring intense pain, reached out gently to touch his wound. First stop the bleeding. She could always think clearly about what should be done and what shouldn't. Now was not the time for sentimentality. If Chu Yifeng's injuries were not treated, his life would be in jeopardy. You tend to me, Chu Yifeng said, holding her hand, his gaze stubborn. I am in no position to save myself right now, only Yingxue can save you. Every word Rongsheng uttered was like stepping on nails with bare feet, her flesh pierced by sharp pain. She felt like every corner of her body was being torn apart, as if someone was ripping her to countless fragments. She looked at Su Yingxue with pleading eyes. Su Yingxue looked towards Chu Yihan, who also said, "Save him." Su Yingxue nodded. Okay, rest assured. She wouldn't let Chu Yifeng die. Even though she didn't like this madman. She took out a medical kit from Medicine King Valley, which had everything she needed. As she was about to apply medicine to Chu Yifeng, he suddenly pushed her away. On his pale face, there was a stubbornness filled with malice. I only want senior sister. He needed Rongsheng to live. She couldn't die. Chu Yifeng's blood-red eyes stared at Su Yingxue. Save her. She must live. No one can let her die. Stubborn and imperiously tyrannical. This man's attitude made him hard to like. But Su Yingxue understood that it was for Rongsheng. Yet for Rongsheng, Su Yingxue checked her pulse. The medicine was working quickly. Rongsheng's indifferent face showed no extra expression. Saving me will take time. This pain, I can bear through it. She had already taken a hemostatic drug for herself. She wouldn't bleed out and die. But enduring the double dose of painkiller she had injected into herself would require sheer willpower. If she made it through, so be it. If she didn't endure it, then it would be her fate. Rongsheng persuaded Chu Yifeng. First, letting Xue give you medicine. Both your internal and external injuries are severe. Calling the husband, he was first pierced through the body by a knife, losing a lot of blood, and then took a palm strike from Hong Lian, which caused even more serious internal injuries. Now, still having the strength to hold on to her, appeared to be pure willpower keeping him alive. Going on like this, he was probably going to die quicker than she would. But Chu Yifeng's stubbornness could not be resolved by anyone. Holding on to Rongsheng, he said, I'll share in your pain. If you can't be healed, I won't be healed either. Chu Yifeng, are you really a madman? The medicine that Sister Rongsheng developed herself. Even she can't cure it. But you're seriously injured. By not seeking treatment, do you want to die in front of her? Su Yingxue was greatly surprised. She'd seen the insane, but she'd never seen anyone as insane as Chu Yifeng. Truly, his name says it all. Might as well call him Chu Yifeng the Mad. Chu Yifeng, I don't need you to keep me company. Rongsheng's cold voice seemed somewhat hurtful. But Chu Yifeng was used to being hurt by her. He sneered. I just want to be with you. You hate me, don't you? Wouldn't you be happy if I died? Rongsheng blurted out before thinking that she would be unhappy. If he died, how could she possibly be happy? But that thought flashed through her mind, and in the end she did not say it. As you say, I really should be happy. Rongsheng's cold face gave Chu Yifeng a misconception. As if the woman who had just wept for him, calling him a Feng, was just a fleeting dream. The sober Rongsheng was cold and unfeeling. Bang! Su Yingxue didn't care about that much, directly knocking Chu Yifeng out, then pressing him to the ground, ripping his clothes, scattering medicine and stitching up the wound. She did it for Chu Yihan. She had no need to argue with the madman. Upon returning to Chu Yihan's side, Mo Qi had already appeared, holding Wu Dao captive. Su Yingxue could then comfortably tend to Chu Yihan's wounds as well. Earlier, in order to suppress Chu Yifeng, Chu Yihan couldn't hurt him, and ended up being injured by him. Upon seeing the wounds on his body, Su Yingxue felt indignant. When Chu Yifeng comes to, I will definitely make sure the injuries you, Your Highness, have suffered are inflicted on him instead. And twice over at that. Otherwise, Chu Yihan's suffering would be in vain. Her man shouldn't be hurt so casually. What did you just call? Chu Yihan pinched Su Yingxue's face, raising an eyebrow. Su Yingxue took a moment to respond. Your Highness? The pressure on her face grew, and Chu Yihan's eyes emitted a slight chill. Think carefully before you speak. A threat indeed. If she called wrong, her face might end up wrecked. Su Yingxue's earlobes turned slightly red, and her face was tinged with embarrassment. There are so many people around here. Can she call him husband when they get back? Call. Chu Yihan was brief and to the point, his gaze drifting to Qin Mayan not far away with a sword, as if proclaiming his sovereignty. With no choice left, Su Yingxi's cheeks reddened. Pouting, she called out softly, "Hubby." "MHM." Chu Yihan's eyes twinkled with a smile, his already strikingly handsome face became even more captivating. Even a descent of the gods couldn't compare to him. "Your Highness, what should be done with this man?" Mochi, who was usually indifferent to the frequent displays of affection, had a face like thunder today. Seeing blood at the corner of his mouth, Su Yingxue couldn't help being concerned. "Were you injured by Hong Lian?" Earlier, when Mochi had found her and they went up the mountain together, preparing to deliver a fatal blow to Wu Dao, he had found a shortcut and took her with him. But when they had encountered Hong Lian, Mochi had faced her alone to conceal her presence. Su Yingxue knew that Mochi, working with Chu Yihan, was not of weak martial arts skills. But now the two gaping wounds on his body. "He's still resisting. Fine, master. Do you want me to kill this man for you?" A strong killing intent flashed in Mochi's dark eyes. Behind him, Hong Lian shouted, "Mochi, don't kill the pavilion master. You dare to kill him." Mochi's sword-holding hand trembled, but what followed was his fury as he turned to face Hong Lian. "Even if the master spares him, I will kill him right before your eyes. Hong Lian cares about this pavilion master more than he cares about me. Oh no, this pavilion master is indeed someone Hong Lian cares about. As for me, I simply don't count. I am just a joke." Su Yingxue sensed something and comforted him. "Don't worry, this pavilion master will definitely die." She turned to look at Wu Dao, who, exposed to the light, showed hate that was even greater than fear. His eyes were like an abyss covered in vines, always ready to entangle someone and drag them into darkness. "Do you think you can kill me?" Wu Dao's sneer was cold and ghastly, as if it came from hell. His eyes seemed to have seen right through Su Yingxue. "You're alive till now because of the spatial device you carry, right?" "How do you know?" Su Yingxue's heart chilled. This was something she hadn't even told Chu Yihan. She has Medicine King Valley and little ginseng to protect her life. But how did Wu Dao know? Could it be that he has one too? Su Yingxi's eyes widened in surprise, just in time to see the white box magically appear in Wu Dao's hand as he made a fist, allowing him to immediately break free from Mochi's grip. Chu Yihan moved swiftly like an arrow leaving the bow, grabbing Wu Dao's hand and snatching the box from him, bent his legs with a kick, forcing him to kneel. His brows furrowed deeply. "What witchcraft have you used? How is it possible to disappear and reappear as if by teleportation? What secret does this white box hold? It could bring Rongsheng and the souls of others here, and materialize in Wu Dao's hand anytime, granting him intangible power." Wu Dao's eyes glinted with triumph. "As long as I have it, you cannot kill me. This box is fused with his life. It's not something that these people can simply destroy." Su Yingxue stepped forward, took the box from Chu Yihan's hand, and tried to split it open with the Qingfeng sword, only to discover that the sword couldn't even make a scratch on the box's tough exterior. "Su Yingxue, don't waste your energy. Even your mother couldn't destroy it back then. What can you do? What are you compared to her?" Wu Dao's gaze was sinister, and the evil energy spreading out from him intensified his hatred. With just a thought, the box returned to his hand. He held it aloft, boasting confidently, "Su Yingxue, if you have any way to kill me or destroy this, you win. But you don't have any." What her mother couldn't do in the past, she couldn't do either. "Is that so?" A cold light flashed in Su Yingxi's eyes as she swiftly moved forward, knocked the box out of Wu Dao's hand, and injected him with a syringe full of liquid. This slight pain was like mere tickling for Wu Dao, who had years of medical research under his belt. He didn't care in the slightest, even scoffing with disdain. "You're even more foolish than your mother. She believed I would return, and you think you can kill me." The smile on Wu Dao's face didn't last as he tried to finish his sentence, turning into something grim and terrifying. "What have you injected me with?" Panic surfaced on his face. Although Su Yingxue wasn't initially 100% sure, the panic in Wu Dao's eyes confirmed it for her. "Collapse, your porphyria. Even if we took blood from all three of us, couldn't possibly be cured. And with the injection of a high concentration of alcohol, you without a doubt will die. Su Yingxue, how could you possibly? Wu Dao was unable to resist the weakness and pain assaulting his body, and he no longer had the strength to summon the box. The alcohol quickly paralyzed him, and caused his blood to start running chaotic. Wu Dao had never hated someone like this, not even Long Shuli. He gritted his teeth, word by word seething with hate. Su Yingxue, you dare destroy everything I have. His grand vision and ambition. His ambition to dominate the world. All these years of management and plotting, he was just a little short of success. He could kill Long Shuli, who stood in his way. But this time Su Yingxue. Wu Dao struggled desperately. He could still summon the box, but the box was firmly controlled by Su Yingxue. She opened it, and it was originally empty inside. But the box, while in an open state, could not be summoned by Wu Dao at will. She talked about this with Little Ginseng during their chat. Little Ginseng said, just like its spiritual body couldn't separate from Su Yingxue's body, Wu Dao and the box, if both were to fall at the same time, would lose the ability to control and be controlled. Wu Dao, like a dying spider, crawled towards Su Yingxue, demanding the box. Give it to me. Give it to me. His efforts could not be in vain. He could not have crossed over to this life for nothing. He had to be the supreme ruler of the world. Chu Yihan's sword pierced through his body, nailing him firmly to the ground. Afterwards, he protectively guarded Su Yingxue. The sight before him made Wu Dao feel even more repulsed. After scheming his entire life, he had gained nothing. His hand slowly reached for his dragon throne. Wu Dao pressed a button with a sinister look in his eyes, a smile playing on his face. Su Yingxue, your mother is dead, and you won't get to live well either. In the past, Long Shuli, to oppose him, even if she was violated by a man like Su Dingheng, still lived a splendid life. She made him grind his teeth with silent hatred to this day, hating her intensely every time he thought of her. Even if he was to die, he was going to take them with him. The ground beneath Su Yingxue and Chu Yihan started to shake. Chu Yihan was the first to feel that something was amiss, hugging Su Yingxue's waist, and shouted to everyone, "Hurry up and leave! This place is going to collapse. You can't escape, you won't be able to escape." Wu Dao let out one last maniacal laugh. As his body fell, it pressed down on the switch, and the palace began to shake violently. Chu Yihan embraced Su Yingxue. Mo Qi carried Chu Yifeng on his back while holding Rongsheng, and Qin Mayan grabbed the others and was about to leave. But before they could reach the entrance of the grand hall, the entire palace collapsed with a bang. Behind the palace was a sheer cliff. The palace crumbled entirely, everyone shaking uncontrollably, unable to steady themselves. Feeling the ground plummeting rapidly beneath him, Chu Yihan wrapped his arms around Su Yingxue's waist, shielding her with his body below. "Don't be afraid, Your Highness won't let you die. Your Highness, be careful." Su Yingxue saw a beam falling towards Chu Yihan's back and quickly embraced him, rolling away several times. Boom! The earth-shattering sound reverberated through the sky. When Su Hao and his men arrived, they did not see the magnificent and ever-changing palace. What he saw was just a deep pit, an area that had just experienced a sudden collapse. "Sister! Your Highness!" Su Hao, with a panicked face, shouted into the abyss, but the only thing that echoed back was his own voice. Ruthless, leaving no way out. He couldn't see, nor could he hear the voices of the people below. He must save them. "Sister, brother will definitely save you." Su Hao's eyes reddened, his fists clenched tightly. He mobilized all the troops, trying to find a way to get down to the edge of the cliff and excavate the ruins inside. With both the Great Wei Dynasty and Bailing City's armies obeying his command and coming to help. At the bottom of the cliff, amidst the ruins, Su Yingxue's head was filled with Little Ginseng's fuming voice. "Su Yingxue, can you please live properly? I used a whisker to save you, and you've only been alive for a few days before you go looking for death again. You really are going to anger me to death." So infuriating. The adorable voice, like that of a small beast. A brain explosion. Su Yingxue's head ached from the noise, and she came to, supporting her head. Stop yelling, I'm not dead yet. She had only been temporarily dazed by the collapse and shaking. It's good you're not dead, humph. If you die again, I won't save you. Little Ginseng's cute and irritated voice evoked the image of a child with a puffy, adorable face, looking all huffy. If it could transform into a human, little Ginseng would certainly look like that. Perhaps with a little mouth pouted so high that a basket of herbs could hang from it. Su Yingxue was lucky. The beam that had collapsed crossed over with another, forming a protective space around her and Chu Yihan. She quickly pushed the man beside her. Your Highness! Your Highness! She could move Chu Yihan, but she couldn't wake him. Alarmed, Su Yingxue asked, Your Highness? Are you injured? Where are you hurt? She searched Chu Yihan's body for injuries and found none, but it seemed like his head had taken a severe hit. Su Yingxue's heart immediately became uneasy. Your Highness, did you hit your head? Your Highness, wake up please. The space was too cramped, she couldn't even take his pulse. She could only stretch out a hand to move the bricks and debris from Chu Yihan's head. Your Highness, didn't you say you would protect me? Su Yingxue tried her best to move closer, but she could still only lie down, propping herself up with her arms. As she struggled to raise her hand and touch Chu Yihan's face, she encountered a warm liquid. Blood. Su Yingxue looked at her hand in shock. Chu Yihan's head was bleeding. His back was facing her now. Had his face been smashed? Your Highness. Tears immediately brimmed in Su Yingxue's eyes. No, Your Highness, I don't want you to die. You can't die. Perhaps jolted by Su Yingxue's crying, Chu Yihan spoke in a hoarse voice. You still won't call me properly, I wouldn't rest in peace even in death. Call you with her face streaked with tears. Su Yingxue's voice was soft and lingering. Hubby. I will call out hubby. You are my hubby. I've realized now, hubby, please hold on. Let me see if you are all right. Chu Yihan easily turned over towards her, looking at her with warm affection. All right. Hubby, are you all right? Su Yingxue blinked, then broke into a relieved smile. Chu Yihan was all right. He could still move, and the blood she felt was just from a cut on his forehead. It wasn't a serious injury. Su Yingxue hugged Chu Yihan with excitement and joy. Hubby, this is wonderful. Thank goodness, they were both okay. Her heart had been nearly shattered with fear just moments ago. The two entwined together, with Chu Yihan's hand resting on the back of her head, sealing their reunion with a deep kiss. After the tension in the air eased slightly, he brought up, finding a way out won't be easy. Wu Dao was a cruel man who didn't leave any way out even for himself. The palace's collapse had been premeditated. Upon his own death, he planned to take everyone down with him. Loving someone is wonderful. Su Yingxue looked around. It was a scene of ruins. Even if they managed to climb out by hand, they were still at the bottom of the cliff. They would need someone from above to rescue them. Otherwise, their chances of survival were very slim. Moreover, it was unknown whether the others were still alive. Su Yingxue had Chu Yihan prop up the beam on top of him, slowly moving away the debris to make room enough to sit up. Chu Yihan, using two intersecting beams, created a space stable enough to sit. Su Yingxue began calling out for the others. Sister Rongsheng. Emochi. Scarlet Flame King. Sister Rongsheng. Emochi. Scarlet Flame King. She called for a long time before receiving a few weak responses. Yingxue, I'm here. It's Sister Rongsheng. She sounds close to us. Su Yingxue breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, Rongsheng was all right. But there was a sob in Rongsheng's voice. Chu Yifeng, can you save him? What happened to him? Chu Yihan's handsome brows revealed a hint of urgency. When Chu Yifeng teased him, he was always unresponsive and even found him annoying. But blood ties are definitely something he cares about. Rongsheng said. He was protecting me and got badly hurt. All the medicine I had has scattered, and now I can't treat his wounds. If Rongsheng had any medicine at all, she wouldn't be so helpless. But upon hearing Su Yingxue's voice, she remembered what Wu Dao said. Su Yingxue had a space of her own. She would certainly be able to produce some medicine. Don't be afraid, Sister Rongsheng, I have some. Su Yingxue first reassured Chu Yihan, then asked him to figure out how to reach Rongsheng's location. At the very least, to make a path through which they could pass the medicine to her. She entered Medicine King Valley, gathered and prepared medicines, taking out all the medicines she had previously stored in Medicine King Valley. In such a dire situation, you still have the mood to care about others. Busy in the pharmacy, Su Yingxue felt a poke and got distracted. She turned to see a little girl standing beside her with 2 round buns atop her head. Her face as cute as if carved from pink jade. At this moment, the girl was looking up, pouting arrogantly. That haughty expression was just like what Su Yingxue imagined little Ginseng would look like transformed into human form. Su Yingxue pulled her hand away and pinched little Ginseng's chubby face, pinching until she shouted, "Don't touch, don't touch. I've just managed to transform, and it's not stable yet. If you mess it up, I'll bite you to death." Little Ginseng stepped back 2 paces, puffing up her face. Seeing her like this softened Su Yingxue's heart a bit. She knelt down and hugged her, planting a kiss. "Won't touch you, just a kiss, all right." "Su Yingxue, you've become a hooligan. Is it because of your hubby?" Little Ginseng could always sense that man's actions towards Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue nodded, as if she had indeed become a bit more of a hooligan since being with Chu Yihan. Occasionally, she wanted to be close to him, to kiss him, to sleep with him, and even to have a cute child like little Ginseng with him. The medicine's going bad. Seeing her blushing and lost in thought, little Ginseng looked at her with disgust. It's just a man after all. Is he worth all this? You'll understand when you grow up. Loving someone is a wonderful thing, and it's normal to daydream, Su Yingxue said as she quickly finished preparing the medicine and took the opportunity to teach little Ginseng a lesson. She left like this without thinking about a very important issue until later when she realized. She started to have a headache over little Ginseng's existence. When Su Yingxue opened her eyes again, she held many items in her hands. Golden wound medicine, bandages, gauze, and injection vials. Saving Chu Yifeng. Ever since Sister Rongsheng gave her that book, she had started researching and using the set of tools left by Long Shuli. She had actually developed antibiotics. Chu Yihan had already cleared the path, and now they were only separated by a wall that had collapsed between them and Rongsheng and Chu Yifeng. With a single palm strike, Chu Yihan created a hole big enough for Su Yingxue to pass things through. Rongsheng's medical skills were on par with her mother's, so she was naturally capable of saving Chu Yifeng. Su Yingxue then reassured Chu Yihan, "Your Highness, rest assured. Sister Rongsheng won't let Chu Yifeng die." Chu Yihan hummed in acknowledgement. Then his probing gaze landed on her. "Can you tell Your Highness where these medicines come from?" He had noticed before that Su Yingxue always carried a small medicine box, but the things she could pull out of it were not something that little box could hold. Now, she had simply closed her eyes for a moment and conjured up so many items to save Chu Yifeng. "This," Su Yingxue paused. "Actually, I didn't plan to hide it from Your Highness. I mean, hubby, I just feared you wouldn't believe it if I told you." Having seen the phenomenon of crossing from another world, what else peculiar about you could Your Highness not accept? Chu Yihan pinched her cheek. Su Yingxue smiled. "That's true. After all, her rebirth was the strangest thing of all." She told Chu Yihan about little Ginseng in Medicine King Valley, but there was no surprise in Chu Yihan's eyes, only more relief. "Little Ginseng is protecting you very well." Su Yingxue nodded. "She's a bit haughty, but she's my life-saving token." "Just like Chu Yihan." "Who's haughty, Su Yingxue? Can't you say something good about me?" Little Ginseng's voice came through, and even Chu Yihan could hear it. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "Is she speaking?" Su Yingxue looked puzzled. "Huh? Your Highness, you can hear that?" Chu Yihan nodded. "MHM. Little Ginseng, have you become more powerful? Can Your Highness hear you speak now?" Su Yingxue was particularly curious. "I could always do it, but you never wanted anyone to know." Little Ginseng didn't need to show off. "Did you think little Ginseng could only stay in your head?" Little Ginseng stood with her hands on her hips, which Su Yingxue couldn't see, puffing up her round bun-like face. She clearly doted on Su Yingxue, always considering her needs, but she never gave Su Yingxue even the slightest verbal advantage. "In that case, Your Highness thanks you for taking care of his wife." Chu Yihan's voice was much softer. He hadn't seen a spirit ginseng cultivated for 1,000 years, but her childish voice was adorable, making him feel an instinctive fondness. In that case, little ginseng grudgingly accepts your thanks. If there's anything you need in the future, just speak up. Little ginseng will not turn you down. Little ginseng's voice became milkily soft and sweet, also carrying a sense of grandeur. Su Yingxue felt unhappy. Why are you so biased? She had been integrated with little ginseng for so long, and the creature had never uttered a kind word about her. Yet, why had she become so complacent towards Chu Yihan after a mere thank you from him? The difference in treatment was too great. Unfair. Because he's good-looking. If someone's good-looking, whatever they say is right. Little ginseng will absolutely not refuse any of his requests. Little ginseng proclaimed proudly. Su Yingxue pouted. What more was there to say? No wonder she turned into a girl. Behind the wall, Rongsheng was treating Chu Yifeng, administering antibiotics, applying medication, stitching up the wound, all in one go. He refuses to take medicine. Chu Yifeng slowly awoke, and saw Rongsheng beside him. His sensuous thin lips curled up slightly. Even in going to hell, I still end up with senior sister, huh? Rongsheng told him calmly and steadily. We're not dead. AI. Chu Yifeng sighed softly, almost as if he was disappointed that they hadn't died. Unmoved, Rongsheng continued to treat his wounds. With his injuries all taken care of, Rongsheng held the oral medicine to Chu Yifeng's lips, succinctly commanding, take it. Chu Yifeng turned his head away. I want. Rongsheng's brow furrowed slightly. This is medicine for pain relief and anti-inflammation. Still not taking it. Doesn't it hurt? A touch of anxiety rose in Rongsheng's heart. His body was covered with many wounds. The fact that he had survived was testament to his strong willpower. Now, although she had saved his life, she could fully imagine the pain from those wounds as a doctor. He was in pain. It hurts, but if you kiss me, I'll take the medicine. In Chu Yifeng's handsome brows there was the posture of a shameless rogue. Rongsheng immediately turned cold. Impossible. In the past, any intimacy between her and Chu Yifeng had been forced upon her, and she would definitely not offer herself willingly. A streak of malice flashed through Chu Yifeng's eyes. Knowing that Chu Yihan and Su Yingxue were behind the wall, he shouted, Chu Yihan, has Su Yingxue ever kissed you of her own accord? Chu Yihan's voice, cold and detached, came through. How boring. Su Yingxue heard the noise on their side. She walked up, clung to Chu Yihan's shoulder, and kissed his lips, even biting his face, making sure her voice was loud enough to be heard by Chu Yifeng. After kissing, she deliberately cooed seductively. Hubby, did you like it? Chu Yihan hooked his lips, pulling her into his embrace and pinching her face. You little troublemaker. A stifled feeling built up in Chu Yifeng's chest. He pointed to the wall above him, looking at Rongsheng. Did you hear that? Su Yingxue was deliberately provoking him. The emotionless face of Rongsheng, cool and detached as a fairy, remained unmoved. What does it have to do with me? She began to forcefully push the medicine into Chu Yifeng's mouth. However, even with his injuries and lying down, she was no match for the strength in his arms alone. Rongsheng tried several times unsuccessfully. Each time the medicine approached his lips, he swatted it away. She grew somewhat angry. Chu Yifeng, this is the medicine that could save your life. Don't take it, and you might as well prepare to die in pain. You are my life-saving medicine. A trace of scorn flitted through Chu Yifeng's eyes. Rongsheng, do you even have a heart? He could endure being cut and stabbed, have his legs broken, and even die for Rongsheng. But all he asked was for Rongsheng to kiss him, yet she refused. Rongsheng's face remained cold, offering no response. She held the remainder of the medicine and asked Chu Yifeng, Are you going to take this medicine or not? Chu Yifeng smirked coldly and turned his back, no longer speaking. Rongsheng understood his thoughts. If she didn't kiss him, he wouldn't take the medicine. He was ruthless to others, and even more so to himself. But Rongsheng bit her lip. She stopped paying attention to Chu Yifeng and quietly turned to sit aside. She had always loathed physical contact with others. Chu Yifeng's repeated coercions made her despise any closeness with him. She would never initiate a kiss with him. There was a standoff between them for a while, until Chu Yifeng spoke lightly. Rongsheng, you only pretended to be with me before to get my help in killing Wu Dao, didn't you? Rongsheng's spine stiffened, her heart suddenly thrown into disarray. As she was unsure how to respond, Chu Yifeng scoffed coldly. Your eyes have already betrayed you. Want me to take medicine? Kiss me. It's just that he was willing to jump into this pit. Rongsheng's body curled up slightly, her arms wrapped around her knees, her face buried in them. At this moment, she felt like a person stripped of their clothes. The thoughts she believed were well hidden had been easily seen through by Chu Yifeng. And her true feelings, a tear fell from the corner of her eye. Rongsheng closed her eyes tightly, bit her lip, and said nothing more. They were buried underground, and although Su Yingxuk had saved them and provided some food and medicine, it was never a long-term solution. Moreover, Chu Yifeng refused to eat anything. On the third day, after Su Yingxue passed things to Mochi and Qin Mayan, she peered through the hole in the wall and saw Rongsheng sitting on one side, while the food meant for Chu Yifeng remained untouched. She moved over and tugged at Chu Yihan's sleeve. Hubby, won't you go and persuade him? Chu Yifeng's temper really stank and was incredibly stubborn. He was harder to deal with than a rock in a cesspit. Rongsheng couldn't handle him, and in his severely injured state, not eating or drinking, it was very easy for him to end up reporting to the King of Hell. Chu Yihan didn't want to interfere. He knew Chu Yifeng's nature better. He parted his lips lightly. Only Rongsheng can touch his heart. He won't live just for your highness. As an elder brother, Chu Yifeng did indeed cherish him. Despite his often harsh words, his actions were always incredibly caring. But he was not the reason Chu Yifeng wanted to live. Only Rongsheng was. Chu Yihan's gaze met Rongsheng's, causing the still waters of her heart to stir slightly. Chu Yifeng had maintained that position for a long time without moving. Rongsheng pursed her lips and slowly moved over, touching him as if compromising. Chu Yifeng, take your medicine, eat something. Chu Yifeng didn't move. Rongsheng closed her eyes for a moment, her voice cold but with a hint of coaxing. Turn around, let me feed you. The thought of Chu Yifeng's demands made Rongsheng feel sick instinctively. In her mind, all she could see were the torments Chu Yifeng had put her through in the past. The more reserved she was, the more shameful positions he would force her into, just to humiliate her. If it wasn't a matter of life or death, she would never have compromised. Having expressed herself thus, Chu Yifeng still did not move. On the other side, Su Yingxue was getting anxious. She knew Rongsheng was shy and called out to Chu Yifeng boldly. Hey, if you don't get up, Sister Rongsheng won't kiss you anymore. She didn't control her volume when she shouted, and both Qin Mayan and Mochi heard her. Qin Mayan found it amusing, so childish. Mochi coolly curved his lips, smiling self-deprecatingly. A blush spread across Rongsheng's face. She was already regretting her decision. In matters between men and women, she had never been the initiator. Yet she waited a long time, and Chu Yifeng still barely moved. Never doubting there was a problem due to Chu Yifeng's stubborn nature and still sensing his breathing, she didn't worry too much. But when he remained silent for so long, Rongsheng's heart sank, and she quickly crawled in front of Chu Yifeng, forcefully turning him over. Chu Yifeng lay like a soulless shell, his eyes closed. As soon as he was turned over, his hands suddenly sprawled out, limp and powerless on the ground. Chu Yifeng. Rongsheng panicked. She quickly felt for his pulse. Gone. Chu Yifeng, wake up. The sudden panic made her lose the calm she had from years of medical practice. Chu Yifeng, stop being angry with yourself, you're going to die. Blood transfusion, Sister Rongsheng, what's wrong with him? Hurry and take his pulse. Next door, Su Yingxue sensed that something bad was happening, and her heart was also suspended in fear. Chu Yifeng's fist made the hole larger, his gaze suddenly tense. Chu Yifeng. He can't die. Yingxue, he doesn't have a pulse, I can't feel his pulse anymore, Rongsheng's eyes brimmed with panic-stricken tears, her gaze frantic and helpless. Chu Yihan looked around, managed to lift the entire thick beam, and then pass Su Yingxue through. Save him. His eyes grave, fixed on Su Yingxue, carrying a heavy hope. Su Yingxue nodded, looking at him supporting the beam. Hubby, be careful. She had to stay by Rongsheng's side, so Chu Yihan had to keep supporting the beam the whole time. Su Yingxue acted swiftly, realizing that Chu Yifeng was only temporarily in shock. She quickly joined Rongsheng in administering aid. But the two of them pressing on his heart and feeding him medicine still couldn't make Chu Yifeng regain consciousness. Rongsheng noticed. He's lost too much blood, refused to take his medicine, and wouldn't eat. He's too weak, his body can't hold up. That's why he's like this. Such stubbornness. He wouldn't even spare himself when it took hold. Su Yingxue was somewhat distressed. We can't find someone to give him a blood transfusion right now, and he won't swallow any medicine. What do we do? My blood type is the same as his. I can give him a transfusion. Rongsheng, her features cold but clear, skillfully took out a syringe. Rolling up her sleeve, she handed her slender arm to Su Yingxue. Yingxue, you carry out the procedure. Sister, how do you know your blood type is the same as his? Su Yingxue was surprised. Seeing how adept Rongsheng was, it seemed like this wasn't the first time she had given him a blood transfusion. Rongsheng didn't answer her, and Su Yingxue didn't feel it was appropriate to ask any more, but still reminded, Sister, can your body withstand it? It wasn't just that Rongsheng had been poisoned by Chu Yifeng, she herself was also severely injured. Even giving a little blood to Chu Yifeng would be difficult for her. Rongsheng nodded. I'm fine, just hurry. She feared Chu Yifeng's body wouldn't hold out. Su Yingxue quickly performed a blood transfusion for her and Chu Yifeng. Throughout the process, Rongsheng's eyebrows were tightly furrowed. She was very worried about Chu Yifeng. With Rongsheng's blood flowing into Chu Yifeng's body, and Su Yingxue feeding him some medicine, Chu Yifeng's breath and heartbeat returned. Su Yingxue took a deep breath, ready to remove the syringe. It's okay now, sister, he's come around, there's no need for more blood. Don't move. Rongsheng stopped Su Yingxue's action. Transfuse another unit to him, to promote blood circulation in his body. Otherwise he will feel cold all over, his wound won't heal, and there's a risk of infection. Rongsheng's rational calmness was admirable. But Su Yingxue was worried. Sister, you've been injured too. Giving him so much blood now, can your body withstand it? I'm fine. Rongsheng looked delicate, but was exceedingly determined. Su Yingxue could not stop her, and could only watch as Rongsheng gave blood to Chu Yifeng until her face turned pale, and she collapsed to the ground, unable to support herself. That's enough, sister. Su Yingxue removed the syringe for them. Rongsheng's face was deathly pale, and she had no strength to even sit up. Su Yingxue fed her a blood-replenishing pill, her eyes carrying a hint of worry. Before she could speak, Rongsheng continued to give instructions. Give me his medicine. Loving unknowingly, Su Yingxue placed a small vial into her hands and thought, Sister, you should rest quickly, I'll feed him the medicine. Considering Chu Yifeng's current state, as long as he could swallow what was put in his mouth, it was good enough. There's no need, you all go and rest, she said. She closed her eyes. Su Yingxue was still worried about her, but Chu Yihan said, Yingxue, come here and help your highness with the healing. Ah, how is your highness' injury? She exclaimed. As soon as Chu Yihan mentioned healing, she immediately went over to his side. Chu Yihan set down the pillar, and once again, they were separated from Rongsheng. Rongsheng cherished the gratitude in her heart. She struggled to sit up, moved next to Chu Yifeng, took the medicine that Su Yingxue had given her, held it in her mouth, gently opened Chu Yifeng's mouth, slowly leaned down, and pressed her lips to his. Her tongue gently and forcefully pushed the pill into Chu Yifeng's mouth. Chu Yifeng, not fully conscious, instinctively wrapped around the pill, swallowing Rongsheng's softness along with it. Sister. Her body was so fragrant and soft, it was heartbreakingly endearing. Before the fourth day arrived, Su Yingxue and Chu Yihan felt a tremor, as if the whole cliff had been pried up and was rising slowly. Su Yingxue frowned slightly. What's going on? Could it be that Wu Dao is not dead yet? Chu Yihan held Su Yingxue tightly. Don't be afraid. Su Yingxue leaned into his embrace, his warmth enveloping her, a comforting warmth sweeping over her heart. and she curled her lips into a shallow smile. With him there, she wouldn't be scared. After and during the night, Su Yingxue miraculously found that the palace, which had collapsed into ruins, had actually been raised back up. They were rescued, and the first person she saw was Su Hao. Excited, Su Hao ran up to her. "Sister, are you all right?" He wanted to hug Su Yingxue, but seeing her in Chu Yihan's arms, he could only step back. Su Yingxue cheerfully said, "Brother, I'm fine. Did you save us? Brother, you're amazing." Lifting an entire palace was not an easy feat. Even Chu Yihan was impressed. "General Su, you have worked hard." Su Hao didn't dare to take the credit. "Your Highness flatters me. It wasn't me this time, it was the Yu family's doing." "The Yu family?" Chu Yihan frowned slightly. "After Qianji sect, the Yu family?" Su Hao nodded. "Exactly. 2 days ago Miss Yu Lian arrived with her people and started preparing. Today they managed to raise the palace." He had always thought that this was as difficult as reaching the heavens. But the Yu family, with its legacy from Qianji sect, had actually succeeded. Indeed, it was a work of genius, worthy of awe. Chu Yihan looked into the distance, where the girl in the green dress stood afar. She bowed slightly toward Chu Yihan, as if greeting him. Chu Yihan nodded in response. Originally, when he destroyed Qianji sect, he had spared the Yu family alone, partly because the loss of their heritage would have been a pity and partly because the Yu family understood the situation. During the Qianji sect's confrontation with the imperial court, Yu Lian was the only one who did not oppose the court, so he spared her lineage when he decimated Qianji sect. Now it seemed to be a repayment. In his arms, however, Su Yingxue was particularly surprised. Ziwei, standing not too far away, she broke free from Chu Yihan and ran towards him. And Ziwei rushed forward, embracing her. Su Yingxue hadn't expected him to be so emotional. Her body was trembling slightly. She gently patted Ziwei on the shoulder. "Ziwei, I'm not dead, don't worry." Saving them was Ziwei's wife. Ziwei's chest vibrated powerfully, his heartbeat pounding at a pace he had never experienced in all his years. Intense, fiery. Even his usually cold face slowly thawed. This scene filled Yu Lian with admiration. But she had to intervene. She stepped forward, hooking her arm through Ziwei's. "Ziwei, let go of the 9th princess consort. She'll have trouble breathing if you continue like this." "I won't let go." Ziwei was not being stubborn for the first time. He hugged Su Yingxue tight, as if she was as precious as his own heart. "Ziwei, let me go." Su Yingxue felt a bit embarrassed. It wasn't proper to do this in front of so many people. She quietly poked Ziwei in the back. Ziwei still refused to let go. Yu Lian, out of options, whispered in his ear, "If you keep holding the 9th princess consort like this, and the 9th prince blames her, what will she do then?" Her words poured over Ziwei like icy water. His whole body tensed, and slowly, he released Su Yingxue. Then he turned around. From beginning to end, he never let Su Yingxue see his face. Su Yingxue turned to Chu Yihan and pulled a face, signaling him not to be angry. Chu Yihan huffed lightly and turned away to deal with the aftermath. Only then could Su Yingxue relax, and she noticed the girl by Ziwei's side, asking curiously, "Are you Ziwei's friend?" Yu Lian accidentally locked eyes with Su Yingxue and was utterly captivated by her beauty. They had just come out of a wreckage, everyone marred with wounds and covered in dust. Yet even so, it did not conceal the beauty of Su Yingxue. Her radiant eyes and pearly teeth, her gaze star-like, truly deserving the title of the world's foremost beauty. But Yu Lian was not a woman who felt inferior. Arm in arm with Ziwei, she spoke softly, "We've gotten married, I am his wife." Wife? Su Yingxue almost bit her tongue. She had been away for a while, and Ziwei got married? Ziwei felt her astonishment and immediately spoke out. "You don't like it? I don't have to get married." Yu Lian's hand was dropped, causing her to bite her lip. Yu Lian felt an inexplicable fear towards Su Yingxue. She was afraid that Su Yingxue would take Ziwei away, preventing her from being with him. Ziwei had once told her that he would only listen to Su Yingxue, only protect her his entire life. Given Ziwei's nature, just one word from Su Yingxue would make her lose him. Surprisingly, Su Yingxue punched Ziwei hard. What nonsense are you talking about? Is marriage a matter to be trifled with? Now that you've married this lady, you are her husband, you must cherish her and be responsible for her your entire life. Ziwei felt her anger and corrected himself. All right, I will be responsible for her. Su Yingxue was then reassured. She turned her gaze gently towards Yu Lian. Miss, thank you. Thank me? There's no need. Our Yu family owes the 9th prince a favor. This is but repaying that debt. Yu Lian had her own pride. She would not let others see her weakness easily. It's not because you saved me, it's because of Ziwei. Su Yingxue's eyes were full of kindness. Thank you for being good to Ziwei. I've always hoped he would be loved well. And now you've given him a home. It makes me very relieved. You must love him very much, don't you? Though she did not know how their relationship developed so quickly to the point of marriage. Yet Su Yingxue could see that Yu Lian was a kind-hearted girl. And Ziwei must have married her willingly. Nobody could force him. Why get married? Yu Lian blinked, then answered subconsciously, yes, I love him very much. Love that was too deep to extricate herself from. That's great. Su Yingxue energetically patted Ziwei on the shoulder. Ziwei, you must treat your wife well. When we get back, I will prepare a dowry for you. I, as the host, can't be too stingy. Su Yingxue's mind was filled with happiness for Ziwei. Behind her, Su Hao called out to her, and she went off first. Only when her footsteps had faded did Ziwei dare to turn around. Watching her retreating figure, his heart brimming with longing. Yu Lian seldom saw emotions in his eyes. Seeing him like this, she smiled wryly. You've missed her for so long, why didn't you say anything? She had witnessed how cold-hearted he could be. The emotionless assassin who never displayed any feelings. But when he had just seen Su Yingxue, he had embraced her eagerly, like an earthquake or an erupting volcano. His love for her was intense. Ziwei left with a downcast gaze, without uttering a word, as if Yu Lian were just air. A dim smile on her face. Yu Lian had foreseen this before she married Ziwei. Now Yu Lian gently wiped her face. She was simply heartbroken. The ruins had been excavated. People were injured, some lightly, some seriously. Qin Mian was taken away by Wei Ju, and Mo Qi carried off. Wu Dao and Hong Lian were dug out. Wu Dao was already dead, his head shattered, his brains dried up. Hong Lian by rights should be dead, but Su Yingxue found she still had breath. She didn't seem like she had been without food or medicine these past few days. Thinking of Mo Qi's miserable state, Su Yingxue suddenly couldn't bring herself to kill Hong Lian. She turned to look at Chu Yihan. Just lock her up in the dungeon for life. Chu Yihan was initially unwilling to let her go. He never left loose ends. But since Su Yingxue pleaded, he relented. While Su Hao's people were digging through the ruins to rescue them, they also unearthed a box. Su Hao handed it to Su Yingxue. I noticed this thing is extraordinary, probably not an ordinary item. Su Yingxue nodded. Indeed, it's not ordinary. But now that Wu Dao is dead, it's better to destroy this thing. What if it lures people here again? Their world had become chaotic once more, hadn't it? Don't destroy it. Rongsheng spoke up to stop her. Why not entrust it to me for safekeeping? Su Yingxue actually had no desire to keep it, and seeing that Rongsheng was a modern soul, it seemed appropriate for her to have it. Perhaps she could make use of it. But just as she was about to hand it to Rongsheng, Chu Yihan took the box away. Your Highness will keep it. His cold gaze swept over Rongsheng, seemingly with a hidden meaning, and then he looked toward Chu Yifeng on the stretcher. Take good care of him. That sentence was meant for Rongsheng. Rongsheng's eyes grew colder, but she said nothing, departing with a hong. Everything was over. Chu Yihan and Su Yingxue, simultaneously turning around, looked at Wu Dao's corpse, both thinking the same thing. Grind his bones to dust and scatter his ashes. Wu Dao had malicious intentions, stirring up trouble in their world, scheming, responsible for the death of Su Yingxue's mother, and causing Chu Yihan and his brother to be separated for many years. Even in death, he didn't deserve a peaceful end. As Wu Dao's ashes were thrown out, the bleak sky suddenly cleared. Some ashes fell on the box in Chu Yihan's hand, which suddenly began to glow. Curious, Su Yingxue watched the box. Open it and take a look. Chu Yihan, fearing something harmful might be inside the box, pulled Su Yingxue close and then opened it. The image of Long Shuli the box emitted an incredibly brilliant light, and a figure slowly appeared. Chu Yihan thought someone from that world was about to come through, and quickly tried to close the box. However, Su Yingxue grabbed his hand, her eyes blazing with intensity. No! It's my mother! Mother! Upon hearing this, Su Hao also came over. He saw the figure in the blue light. It was indeed his mother. His eyes warmed slightly. Mother! Mother, could it be you're not dead? By the time you see this, Mother will have already died. The figure in the blue light began to speak. Her voice was clear and present, yet laced with a thread of sadness. Yingxue Hauer, this hologram will only appear after Wu Dao is dead. If you can see this, it means you were strong enough to kill Wu Dao and avenge me. Overcome with emotion, Su Yingxue also shed tears. Yes, Mother. We killed Wu Dao, we avenged you. Avenge her. Long Shuli's voice became cheerful and bright again. Since the enemy is dead, there's no need for sorrow. My children, you mustn't shed tears so easily. Hearing these words, both Su Hao and Su Yingxue wiped away the tears at the corners of their eyes, revealing bright smiles. Long Shuli in the blue light, though she had been gone for many years, seemed as if she was right there in front of them, speaking in perfect sync. Yes, Mother knew it. Both of you are strong and brave kids. Mother had Hauer early and even spent a few years with him, but Yingxue, Mother wronged you. I only had time to give you a name, hardly even a glance before selfishly choosing to leave. Before I left many things for you. If you find them useful, feel free to delve into the medical texts when you have time. If you find them too profound and abstruse, then let them be. You were raised by Grandpa, so Mother isn't too worried about your upbringing. As for that brainless father of yours, just don't count on relying on him. Parental love is something Mother didn't provide the best conditions for. You'll have to make up for it later on. Mother did her best. After all, I was schemed against by Wu Dao too. Su Yingxue burst out laughing. Mother, you really have a sense of humor. A tender smile played upon Su Hao's lips. Mother has always been such a cheerful and optimistic woman. Cheerful and optimistic is a must. Apart from the time I was violated when I felt depressed for a little while, when I woke up, I gave your father a good thrashing, and then it was all right. After all, I was fortunate later and acknowledged Grandpa as my father. He really pampered me, blindly insisting on passing the title to your good-for-nothing father. He said his other two sons were successful and didn't care about the title. I thought I couldn't let Grandpa's intentions go to waste, so besides Mother, both of you also must continue the legacy of the Marquis Manor. Did you hear me? Su Yingxue and Su Hao answered in unison. We heard you, Mother. Long Shuli nodded. You would definitely say you heard me. And then it's about both of your lifelong matters. With all the busyness up until now, Wu Dao is dead, and the major affairs are taken care of. Peace is restored to the land, and it's time for both of you to think about marrying and having children. Hauer, you're stubborn and definitely won't marry a girl you don't like. Social status won't constrain you. As for Yingxue, Mother has no other expectations for you. Just don't marry an emperor or your highness. Mother hates those palace drama plots, and you probably won't like them either. Hearing this, Su Yingxue clearly noticed that Chu Yihan's expression wasn't too good. The princess of the Great Wei dynasty, he knew Long Shuli was just an image, yet he stubbornly said, not every emperor and your highness would let their wives experience the plot of a palace drama. Pfft, Su Yingxue couldn't help but laugh out loud. All right. Even if you were to marry an emperor or your highness, Mother wouldn't be able to oppose it. However, that empress of your great Qing dynasty is no good. She wanted to imprison me before, to force me to give her drunken beauty. At that time, to protect you, I had no choice but to give it to her. However, before I left the palace, I told Chu Mingyuan about this affair. The empress will probably be disliked by Chu Mingyuan for a lifetime, ending up as a lonely empress in her old age. Su Yingshi's doubts were immediately cleared. So, it was her mother's doing that the emperor and empress were at odds. She admired her mother's tactics deeply. To deal with someone like the empress, you have to strike right at her heart. Who let her threaten her mother, after all? Long Shuli chatted as if talking about family affairs, leaving many words for Su Hao and Su Yingxue. Su Hao and Su Yingxue sat down and didn't finish watching the recording until night fell. At the end of the recording, Long Shuli entrusted them with a task. The body mother transmigrated into belongs to a princess from the Great Wei dynasty who went missing. Since I did not know how to face her family, I never returned to Great Wei, nor did I mention this to you. But since I've occupied this body, I owe her family an explanation. Both of you, remember to take a trip to Great Wei for me, and tell them the truth. Su Yingxue suddenly understood. So that's it. Her mother was actually a princess of Great Wei. No wonder Sheng Ping said her mother had complicated relations with Great Wei. No wonder Qin Mayan thought she looked familiar. As darkness fell and the image gradually blurred, Long Shuli's last words were, Yingxue, how her mother loves you both very much. Mother! Mother! Su Yingxue, like Su Hao, cried inconsolably. Though Long Shuli didn't spend much time with them, she truly loved them, her children. Su Yingxue carefully put the box away, holding it in her hands like a treasured possession. I don't know if this can be kept, if I can ever watch it again. Go ask Rongsheng. She would know. Chu Yihan said as he rubbed the back of Su Yingxi's head. Seldom seeing her cry so much like a little rabbit. Su Yingxue nodded. Su Hao composed himself and gave Chu Yihan a formal bow. Your Highness, the troops are unorganized. I will go attend to them. All right. Chu Yihan agreed. Seeing him leave, Su Yingxue was somewhat puzzled. Why isn't brother staying with us? Chu Yihan bent down and kissed her. Because you have a husband now. How could Su Hao interfere with her happiness? Su Yingxue smiled shyly, her expression sweet and a little embarrassed. Chu Yihan approached her and knelt down. Come on up. Hubby, are you going to give me a piggyback? I'm not injured, and you still have wounds. These injuries are nothing to worry about. How could I let you tire yourself out? Chu Yihan said indulgently. Su Yingxi's pretty face beamed with happiness. She climbed onto Chu Yihan's back, and he carried her step by step down the mountain. With the full moon hanging high, Su Yingxue felt even the night wind in the mountains was warm, as if everything in the world was light and clear. She intended to honor her mother's final wishes, to go to Great Wei, to find her mother's relatives. For now she had someone to confide in. After resting for a night with Chu Yihan, Su Yingxue went in search of Qin Mayan. Logically, if her mother was a princess of Great Wei, then she would be Qin Mayan's aunt, which would make Qin Mayan her blood-related cousin. Knocking out Chu Yifeng, but when they arrived at Qin Mayan's room, he was already gone. He must have left in such a hurry that he didn't even have time to say goodbye to them. All he left was a note on the table. Urgent matters. I must return to my country. Let's meet again in the coming days. Su Yingxue frowned. I wonder if he even dealt with his wounds before he was so rushed to leave. The temperature around Chu Yihan dropped suddenly. Are you that concerned about him? Su Yingxue shivered with cold. Isn't it, because he's my cousin? Are you planning to go to the Great Wei capital to find your cousin? Chu Yihan's eyes were already deep with a hint of murderous intent. Su Yingxue quickly held his waist. It's to look for my mother's relatives. It wasn't just about Qin Mayan. Heh. Chu Yihan let out a cold snort. His face still looked terrible, but he didn't oppose Su Yingxi's plan to go to the Great Wei capital. Su Yingxue knew that Chu Yihan was just a bit fierce on the surface. Which of the things she wanted to do hadn't he accompanied her on? They planned to visit Chu Yifeng, and then start their journey. They wanted to get their business done early, so she could return to the Great Qing dynasty sooner. But in Chu Yifeng's room, All Hong stood at the door with a helpless expression. Upon seeing Chu Yihan and Su Yingxue, he addressed them. Your Highness, Miss Su. What happened here? Didn't Sister Rongsheng save Chu Yifeng? Why do you look like you're about to mourn for him? Teased Su Yingxue. All Hong gave a helpless, low chuckle. Miss Su really holds a grudge against my master. Although my master's life is not in danger now, he refuses to take medicine or change his dressing. His leg wound and other injuries have not improved. Even Princess Rongsheng can't do anything with him. Princess Rongsheng can't do anything? Chu Yihan's eyes narrowed slightly. All Hong sighed deeply. My master insists that he will only take his medicine if Princess Rongsheng kisses him. Given Princess Rongsheng's proud temperament, she naturally refuses, and so the two of them are at an impasse. Shameless. He needs a kiss to take his medicine. Why should Sister Rongsheng indulge him? Let him suffer in pain. Su Yingshi's voice drifted into the room. Bang! A sound of a medicine bowl being smashed emanated from inside. All Hong, once again helpless, had to go out and instruct someone to prepare another concoction. As he returned, Princess Rongsheng also came out. Her cool brows and eyes carrying an ethereal grace, like a fairy who stood above the clouds, looking down on all beings, not partaking in the mortal world. Sister Rongsheng, Su Yingxue called out to her, and Princess Rongsheng nodded in acknowledgement. Chu Yihan's gaze fell on her, and she knew that Chu Yihan was asking her, "If you can go and talk to him. I can't cure him by force." Even if Chu Yifeng's leg was broken and he was severely injured, she was no match against him. This body, having suffered severe trauma, was too frail. The physical endurance she built up on the operating table in her previous life was no longer practical. I can't, but she can. Chu Yihan pinched Su Yingshi's soft cheek. Su Yingxue pointed at herself. Me? You're entrusting your brother to me? Why not? If he refuses to take his medicine, you can knock him out or daze him and force the medicine down. Chu Yihan said uncharitably about his brother, but he was more concerned for his wife. If he dares to resist, strike hard and don't let yourself suffer. Su Yingxue readily agreed. Okay. After she finished speaking, a Hong just happened to bring the new medicine. Su Yingxue gestured. Come on, let's go in together. Going to Great Wei Dynasty, verifying identity. All Hong was somewhat worried, but since the order had come from the 9th prince and it was for the sake of his master's health, he could only silently mourn for Chu Yifeng in his heart. Su Yingxue was no Rongsheng. Her combat effectiveness was absolutely off the charts. Rongsheng and Chu Yihan exchanged a glance, with Rongsheng sensing that Chu Yihan had something to say to him. So he led him onto the balcony. At that moment, the sun was setting in the west, the sky adorned with splendid colors, casting a picturesque scene upon their white robes. However, Rongsheng's expression remained cold. What is it, 9th prince? He didn't believe that Chu Yihan had come to speak with him about Chu Yifeng's matters. This box, earlier it displayed an image that was left by Yingshi's mother, Princess Shuli. Your Highness is asking on Yingshi's behalf. Do you know how to operate it? Can that image appear again? Chu Yihan handed the white box to Rongsheng. Rongsheng took it and looked it over, shaking his head. That was a recording. After Wu Dao died, this box became useless. Having said that, Chu Yihan turned to leave. Wait. Rongsheng's expression suddenly turned grave. You were reluctant to give me the box that day, but now you trust me with it? Chu Yihan admitted frankly. Of course I didn't want to give it to you, for fear you would travel back and no one would be able to save Chu Yifeng, but your Highness does not have the right to decide another person's life. Therefore, he still handed the box over to Rongsheng. Whether she chose to travel back or to stay by Chu Yifeng's side was her own decision to make. A ripple stirred in Rongsheng's heart. Chu Yihan and Chu Yifeng were born of the same mother, but their characters were worlds apart. If she had obtained the box that day, she might have entertained the thought of going back, but now Rongsheng's slender hands, holding the box, trembled lightly. When Chu Yihan returned to the room, Su Yingxue had just finished wiping her hands. She hopped over and clung to Chu Yihan's arm. Hubby, everything's been taken care of. Your brother has taken his medicine and gone to sleep. Did he take his medicine and fall asleep, or did you knock him out? He was knocked unconscious after his medication. Su Yingxue explained. I gave him an injection of anesthetic so that after his whole body became numb, I forcibly administered the medicine. After that, I knocked him out to prevent any fuss. This way he can rest in his sleep. How peaceful. Not bad. Chu Yihan praised her, and then led her away. If not for his years at Silver Moon Pavilion, Ahong would have found it hard to accept just how unusual the ninth prince was as a younger brother. But he turned back to glance at the unconscious Chu Yifeng on the bed and sighed softly. Both are the same. The two brothers were equally extraordinary in character. Now that Chu Yifeng had been knocked senseless and disciplined by his sister-in-law, there was nothing surprising about it. It was Rong Sheng, however. Ahong saw Rong Sheng holding a box as she went to the side chamber. She still couldn't leave Chu Yifeng's room, or the poison would torment her, but her steps carried a hint of urgency. She was not like her usual self, cold and noble. Yingui City bordered the Four Nations, and was also near the Great Way capital. Knowing that there was a way through the underground market to reach the Great Way capital directly, Chu Yihan set out with Suing Xue. The people of the underground market, not often graced with the celestial-like beauty of Chu Yihan and Suing Xue, began to entertain some thoughts when they appeared. But the overwhelming power radiating from Chu Yihan, along with the Qingfeng sword in his hand, instantly quelled any such notions among the people of the market. Unapproachable indeed. On the Zuijing building, Mu Fei stood on the Shilu, fanning himself as he overlooked the scenery of the market. Qin Mayan's marriage Jing, dressed in a light pink gauze dress, walked to his side and spoke in a gentle whisper. "Master, everything is ready. We can embark on our journey." Mu Fei turned his body, a smile on his face which was even more delicate and beautiful than a woman's. "Did you bring my calming incense?" "Brought it. I've also made a sachet for Master. Wearing it on your body, you will feel much more at ease." Jing laughed like silver bells, walking to Mu Fei's side. She hung a purple embroidered sachet on his waist belt. She tilted her head with a smile, and the tassels on her hair made a tinkling sound, pleasant to the ears. Mu Fei, looking at her pure eyes, smiled even more. "Good girl, follow your master to Yingdu." Jing did not know what place Yingdu was, but since Mu Fei had said so, she smiled sweetly. "All right, Jing will always follow master." The Great Way capital, Yingdu. The Great Way Imperial Palace was majestic, and within the harem, the Funing Palace had the deepest aura. Qin Mayan, lacking in spirits, sat to one side. Above him was the eldest princess of the Great Way dynasty, Kai Ge, who had raised him from his youth. Qin Ge was chatting and laughing with her mother, the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager's hair was now full of white, yet she was still spirited and ruddy-cheeked, especially when looking at the young girl beside her. She held the young girl's hand, her eyes brimming with affection. "Zhao's health has always been delicate, but just seeing you, Yenner, her cheeks have rounded, and her lips have reddened. Her illness indeed seems to have improved quickly." "Imperial grandmother." The girl's voice was delicate, shyly hiding her beautiful and charming face in the Empress Dowager's embrace. "Ha ha. Zhao Hua likes the fifth brother, how could I not know? Now that fifth brother has earned military merit and slain that villain Wu Dao, resolving the crisis for the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces, he truly deserves to be called a hero. It is only right for me to arrange a marriage for him." Qin Ruli, with his heroic spirit, raised his cup and toasted Qin Mayan. "Fifth brother, cheers to you. This time, in quelling the rebellion, you have accomplished a great feat for our Great Way." Qin Mayan lifted his cup. "Thank you, Imperial brother. However, quelling the rebellion was not my doing alone. I dare not claim the credit. I contributed only a modest effort. It was the 9th prince of the Great Qing dynasty, and Suing Xue, who killed Wu Dao. You have already told me this, and I am aware. You do not wish to claim the credit. If the 9th prince comes to our Great Way, naturally, I will treat him well," said Qin Ruli, a magnanimous sovereign who was never stingy with praise. "Enough. You men discussing court affairs can continue after leaving Mother's presence. Just now Mother mentioned Yenner and Zhao's marriage. Are you both pretending not to hear?" With the family sitting together, Qin Ge had no qualms about reminding them. Qin Mayan's expression clouded slightly, silent, whereas Qin Ruli was quite enthused. "Grandmother and aunt's words, of course, I heard clearly. Zhao, having been lost for many years and now found, is naturally the pearl in the palm of the Great Wei imperial family. How could I let her be wronged? As long as Mu Yan agrees, I will immediately arrange their marriage. The Empress Dowager was pleased and patted the young girl's back. Did you hear that, Zhao? Your imperial brother is going to arrange a marriage for you. Aren't you going to rise and express your gratitude? How much longer are you going to be shy? Imperial grandmother Xinye's delicate and frail voice truly evoked pity. She lifted her head, her face, bearing a resemblance to Su Yingxue and with traces of long shuli, made the Empress Dowager even more distressed. Seeing her shyness, the Empress Dowager urged Qin Mayan. He is unwilling to marry his cousin Mu Yan. You are a son of the Great Wei dynasty and also Zhao's cousin. Why don't you propose to her already? Your military campaign, which took you away, has left Zhao with such deep concern. Imperial grandmother, Zhao doesn't dare to disturb cousin. Cousin's departure for war is a matter of great national importance. How could Zhao's trivial worries possibly justify interference? Zhao is fine. Xinyu stole a glance at Qin Mayan, then immediately shrank back into the imperial grandmother's arms, blushing with shyness. Qin Mayan. This man made her fall in love at first sight, trapping her deeply in his allure. Just the thought of marrying him, of becoming his princess, made Xinyu feel that all the hardships and sufferings of her earlier life were worthwhile. But her quietly sent loving glances went unnoticed when they reached Qin Mayan. The handsome features of Qin Mayan, marked by an aura of valor, were now cold and indifferent. Replying to imperial grandmother, your grandson has been injured in the recent military expedition, and has not fully recovered. It is not appropriate to discuss marriage now. Let us wait until your grandson's wounds have healed before we continue this discussion. With those words, a heavy atmosphere fell over the great hall. Qin Ruli's gaze darkened, and the imperial grandmother became angry. What? Have you not been injured less in wars before? Do you always need to be so fussy every time you return? The imperial grandmother sees that you are very well. You just don't want to marry Zhao. Is that it? Qin Mayan almost blurted out yes, but Qin Ge promptly knelt before the imperial grandmother. Empress Dowager, please calm your anger. Mu Yan did not intend to be disrespectful. He is willing to marry Zhao. It's just that he cherishes Zhao too much to bear her worries about his health. Regarding this marriage decree, if it really cannot wait, and if the emperor consents, we can draft the edict now. As his brother, I will express gratitude to the emperor and the Empress Dowager on behalf of Mu Yan. Mother. Qin Mayan approached her with furrowed brows. Your son does not wish to marry her, does not wish to wed at all. He likes Su Yingxue. The one he wanted to marry was Su Yingxue alone. This so-called cousin meant nothing to him at all. Nonsense. Qin Ruli, who had previously shown him some protection, now lost his temper too. In the presence of the imperial grandmother, do you think you can defy her orders? Apologize to cousin Zhao Hua, and say that once you have recovered, you will marry her immediately. Imperial brother. Qin Mayan clenched his fists in anger. Although there was over a decade's age difference between them, Qin Ruli had always been affectionate towards him, never forcing him into doing anything against his will. But now, Qin Ruli knew of his reluctance, but he revered their grandmother even more. Under pressure from Qin Ruli, Qin Mayan had no choice but to kneel and say reluctantly, your grandson has been impolite. Regarding the marriage with cousin Zhao Hua, once healed from my injuries, I will reach a decision. Humph. The imperial grandmother clutched Zhao Hua protectively. My granddaughter is like a pearl cast aside. She is worthy of even the gods in heaven. If you don't want to cherish her through marriage, I am not even willing to give her to you. All of you get out. Imperial grandmother, please don't be upset. Take care not to harm your health. From within the arms of the imperial grandmother, Xinye's face streaked with tears, her eyes full of resentment. Why wouldn't Qin Mayan agree to marry her? Even now, as Princess Zhao Hua of the Great Wei dynasty, cherished by the imperial grandmother, he still didn't like her? Who did he like then? The family banquet ended unhappily. Xinyu stayed beside the imperial grandmother, dabbing her tears, with the imperial grandmother feeling both distressed and furious. Stubbornly, she insisted on finalizing the marriage between her and Qin Mayan. Yet Qin Mayan stubbornly refused to acquiesce. The old lady passed out several times from anger. The court physician was called, and the commotion lasted until midnight before it was finally quelled. When Qin Gu returned to the prince's mansion, he looked exhausted. Qin Mayan also went sleepless through the night. Qin Mayan's marriage. Jing, dressed in a light pink gauze dress, walked to his side and spoke in a gentle whisper. "Master, everything is ready. We can embark on our journey." Mu Fei turned his body, a smile on his face which was even more delicate and beautiful than a woman's. "Did you bring my calming incense?" "Brought it. I've also made a sachet for Master. Wearing it on your body, you will feel much more at ease." Jing laughed like silver bells, walking to Mu Fei's side. She hung a purple embroidered sachet on his waist belt. She tilted her head with a smile, and the tassels on her hair made a tinkling sound, pleasant to the ears. Mu Fei, looking at her pure eyes, smiled even more. "Good girl, follow your master to Yingdu." Jing did not know what place Yingdu was, but since Mu Fei had said so, she smiled sweetly. "All right, Jing will always follow master." The Great Wei capital, Yingdu. The Great Wei Imperial Palace was majestic, and within the harem, the Funing Palace had the deepest aura. Qin Mayan, lacking in spirits, sat to one side. Above him was the eldest princess of the Great Wei dynasty, Kai Gu, who had raised him from his youth. Qin Gu was chatting and laughing with her mother, the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager's hair was now full of white, yet she was still spirited and ruddy-cheeked, especially when looking at the young girl beside her. She held the young girl's hand, her eyes brimming with affection. "Zhao's health has always been delicate, but just seeing you, Yenner, her cheeks have rounded, and her lips have reddened. Her illness indeed seems to have improved quickly." "Imperial grandmother." The girl's voice was delicate, shyly hiding her beautiful and charming face in the Empress Dowager's embrace. "Ha ha. Zhao Hua likes the fifth brother, how could I not know? Now that fifth brother has earned military merit and slain that villain Wu Dao, resolving the crisis for the 4 kingdoms and 9 provinces, he truly deserves to be called a hero. It is only right for me to arrange a marriage for him." Qin Ruli, with his heroic spirit, raised his cup and toasted Qin Mayan. "Fifth brother, cheers to you. This time, in quelling the rebellion, you have accomplished a great feat for our Great Wei." Qin Mayan lifted his cup. "Thank you, Imperial brother. However, quelling the rebellion was not my doing alone. I dare not claim the credit. I contributed only a modest effort. It was the 9th prince of the Great Qing dynasty, and Su Yingxue, who killed Wu Dao. You have already told me this, and I am aware. You do not wish to claim the credit. If the 9th prince comes to our Great Wei, naturally, I will treat him well," said Qin Ruli, a magnanimous sovereign who was never stingy with praise. "Enough. You men discussing court affairs can continue after leaving Mother's presence. Just now Mother mentioned Yenner and Zhao's marriage. Are you both pretending not to hear?" With the family sitting together, Qin Gu had no qualms about reminding them. Qin Mayan's expression clouded slightly, silent, whereas Qin Ruli was quite enthused. "Grandmother and aunt's words, of course, I heard clearly. Zhao, having been lost for many years and now found, is naturally the pearl in the palm of the Great Wei imperial family. How could I let her be wronged? As long as Mu Yan agrees, I will immediately arrange their marriage." The Empress Dowager was pleased and patted the young girl's back. "Did you hear that, Zhao? Your imperial brother is going to arrange a marriage for you. Aren't you going to rise and express your gratitude? How much longer are you going to be shy?" Imperial grandmother Shinya's delicate and frail voice truly evoked pity. She lifted her head, her face, bearing a resemblance to Su Yingxue and with traces of long shuli, made the Empress Dowager even more distressed. Seeing her shyness, the Empress Dowager urged Qin Mayan. "He is unwilling to marry his cousin Mu Yan. You are a son of the Great Wei dynasty and also Zhao's cousin. Why don't you propose to her already? Your military campaign, which took you away, has left Zhao with such deep concern. Imperial grandmother, Zhao doesn't dare to disturb cousin. Cousin's departure for war is a matter of great national importance. How could Zhao's trivial worries possibly justify interference? Zhao is fine. Xinyu stole a glance at Qin Mayan, then immediately shrank back into the imperial grandmother's arms, blushing with shyness. Qin Mayan. This man made her fall in love at first sight, trapping her deeply in his allure. Just the thought of marrying him, of becoming his princess, made Xinyu feel that all the hardships and sufferings of her earlier life were worthwhile. But her quietly scent-loving glances went unnoticed when they reached Qin Mayan. The handsome features of Qin Mayan, marked by an aura of valor, were now cold and indifferent. Replying to imperial grandmother, "Your grandson has been injured in the recent military expedition, and has not fully recovered. It is not appropriate to discuss marriage now. Let us wait until your grandson's wounds have healed before we continue this discussion." With those words, a heavy atmosphere fell over the great hall. Qin Ruli's gaze darkened, and the imperial grandmother became angry. "What? Have you not been injured less in wars before? Do you always need to be so fussy every time you return? The imperial grandmother sees that you are very well. You just don't want to marry Zhao. Is that it?" Qin Mayan almost blurted out yes, but Qin Ge promptly knelt before the imperial grandmother. "Empress Dowager, please calm your anger. Mu Yan did not intend to be disrespectful. He is willing to marry Zhao. It's just that he cherishes Zhao too much to bear her worries about his health. Regarding this marriage decree, if it really cannot wait, and if the emperor consents, we can draft the edict now. As his brother, I will express gratitude to the emperor and the empress dowager on behalf of Mu Yan." "Mother." Qin Mayan approached her with furrowed brows. "Your son does not wish to marry her, does not wish to wed at all. He likes Su Yingxue. The one he wanted to marry was Su Yingxue alone. This so-called cousin meant nothing to him at all." "Nonsense." Qin Ruli, who had previously shown him some protection, now lost his temper too. "In the presence of the imperial grandmother, do you think you can defy her orders? Apologize to cousin Zhao Hua, and say that once you have recovered, you will marry her immediately." "Imperial brother." Qin Mayan clenched his fists in anger. Although there was over a decade's age difference between them, Qin Ruli had always been affectionate towards him, never forcing him into doing anything against his will. But now, Qin Ruli knew of his reluctance, but he revered their grandmother even more. Under pressure from Qin Ruli, Qin Mayan had no choice but to kneel and say reluctantly, "Your grandson has been impolite. Regarding the marriage with cousin Zhao Hua, once healed from my injuries, I will reach a decision." "Humph." The imperial grandmother clutched Zhao Hua protectively. "My granddaughter is like a pearl cast aside. She is worthy of even the gods in heaven. If you don't want to cherish her through marriage, I am not even willing to give her to you. All of you get out." "Imperial grandmother, please don't be upset. Take care not to harm your health." From within the arms of the imperial grandmother, Shen Ye's face streaked with tears, her eyes full of resentment. Why wouldn't Qin Mayan agree to marry her? Even now, as Princess Zhao Hua of the Great Wei dynasty, cherished by the imperial grandmother, he still didn't like her? Who did he like then? The family banquet ended unhappily. Shen Yu stayed beside the imperial grandmother, dabbing her tears, with the imperial grandmother feeling both distressed and furious. Stubbornly, she insisted on finalizing the marriage between her and Qin Mayan. Yet Qin Mayan stubbornly refused to acquiesce. The old lady passed out several times from anger. The court physician was called, and the commotion lasted until midnight before it was finally quelled. When Qin Ge returned to the prince's mansion, he looked exhausted. Qin Mayan also went sleepless through the night. Investigating Zhao Hua's identity, Chu Yihan snorted lightly. "With such a clear situation, there's no need for me to take action. Today, when Qin really sees you, his heart will inevitably harbor suspicions. As long as you say little, an emperor filled with doubts will certainly act." Su Yingxue smiled teasingly. "Worthy of being the mastermind, Your Highness, we just sit tight and do nothing, and let that imposter princess come to us." Efficient, effortless, and trouble-free. Indeed, her husband was truly wise. Suddenly, Su Yingxue remembered something. Hubby, yesterday when you left the ghost market, you only spoke with Sister Rongsheng and didn't bid farewell to Chu Yifeng. What did you two talk about? Want to know? Chu Yihan raised an eyebrow. Su Yingxue nodded vigorously, very earnestly. Yes. You never talk much with other women, so I want to know what classic words you said this time? Chu Yihan picked up Su Yingxue, deliberately drawing out his voice, each word lingering. I told her. Attracted by his tone, Su Yingxue concentrated. What did you say? What did you tell her? She was so intent that she didn't notice the darkness closing in around her, until she was laid down on the bed by Chu Yihan. Under the bed canopy, Su Yingxue's voice came in surprise. You haven't told me yet. What did you two talk about? The room was filled with the entwined silhouettes of the couple, and the ambience was replete with a suggestive air. The night was gentle and lingering. The next day, after the morning court session, Qin Mayan went to the imperial study. Several ministers, seeing he was to discuss matters with Qin Ruli, bowed and withdrew. Qin Mayan asked eagerly, Imperial brother, I heard Su Yingxue has arrived. Where have you placed her? Why didn't you inform me yesterday? Qin Ruli had just finished a memorial and hadn't looked up yet. I have placed them in the palace. When you went to the great Qing dynasty, Chu Yihan treated you with great hospitality. Naturally, I couldn't be remiss in my treatment of them. After Qin Ruli replied he felt something was amiss. Su Yingxue? That's the 9th princess consort's given name. It's not appropriate for you to call her that way. Be more proper in front of others. These words were a brother's reminder to his sibling, not a command from an emperor to his subject. Qin Mayan's eyes turned slightly cold. I have always called her that way, it's a habit. He couldn't bring himself to call Su Yingxue the 9th princess consort. That was the woman he loved. It's good that you're here today. Once I'm finished here, you'll accompany me to Funing Palace. I have some doubts about Zhao Hua's origins. Qin Ruli's dark brows were furrowed. Qin Mayan waited on the side until Qin Ruli was done. Then they together paid a visit to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager had been made ill by Qin Mayan's refusal to marry just a few days earlier, and now greeted Qin Mayan with a cold face. Humph! If you despise my Zhao Hua, why come today? Better yet, despise me, the imperial grandmother, as well and sever our ties from now on. The Empress Dowager was a person who had weathered great storms and loved her little granddaughter dearly, so her tone was particularly stern. Imperial grandmother, if you are displeased, punish me as you will, even if it means taking my life. But I will never sever our relationship. Qin Mayan knelt down firmly, his tone just as resolute. You. The Empress Dowager clenched her teeth, seeing that the grandmother and grandson were about to lose their temper with each other again. Qin Ruli quickly changed the subject. Empress Dowager, I came today to inquire about my cousin Zhao Hua. Her foster parents are still in the palace. May I meet them? And the trusted aide who found Zhao Hua for you. I would like to meet them as well. Half an hour and another half an hour. The Empress Dowager was a shrewd person. Her whitening brows furrowed slightly. Why does the emperor suddenly want to see these people? I'll take good care of Zhao Hua's foster parents myself. Has something happened? Nothing of the sort. It's just that I intend to arrange a marriage, and should at least inform Zhao Hua's foster parents. Moreover, the court astronomers need to calculate the wedding date, and I will have to question them closely, which will take some effort, he responded. Although Qin Ruli was bold and unrestrained, he was still a man with a keen attention to detail, and did not arouse the Empress Dowager's suspicion. Furthermore, Qin Mayan unexpectedly came to his aid. Imperial grandmother, as cousin Zhao Hua has a distinguished status and is to marry your highness' grandson, naturally everything must be well prepared. Please leave this matter to imperial brother, who has also brought the court astronomers. Is that so? The Empress Dowager's eyes narrowed slightly. She would have let it pass if only Qin Ruli had said it, but now that the stubborn Qin Mayan had spoken, she was convinced. She gestured to the servant by her side to call for the people. Qin Ruli brought them back to the imperial study and sat with Qin Mayan in the upper seats. Xinye's parents, originally humble fishmongers, had thought themselves lucky for having such a beautiful daughter as Xinyu, never imagining she would become a princess of the Great Wei dynasty. Although Xinyu had instructed them that no matter who questioned them and under what circumstances, they must insist she was found by them and not their biological child. In the absence of Xinyu, when they were seen alone by Qin Ruli and Qin Mayan, they were still trembling with fear. Xinye's parents, dressed in luxurious silk, knelt before Qin Ruli. "We pay our respects to the emperor and to the Scarlet Flame King." "Rise, there's no need for such formalities," Qin Ruli said courteously to them. But Xinye's parents were still trembling, especially when Qin Ruli started to inquire about Xinye's origins and some detailed information. At high noon, Chu Yihan received a report from an agent of the Great Wei dynasty. "Your Highness, Zhaohua's foster parents have given themselves away, including the Empress Dowager's confidant, Lu Tai. All are now gathered at Funing Palace." Chu Yihan nodded indifferently, understood. He turned and went back to the inner chamber, lifted a corner of the bed curtains, and the sunlight shone upon the person in bed. Her flawless skin was marked with red spots, like blooming red plum blossoms, irresistibly tempting. Chu Yihan lifted the corner of his mouth, bent down to kiss her. "Get up, it's time to go to the palace and meet your grandmother and relatives." Su Yingxue let out a soft moan, shooting Chu Yihan a resentful glance. Was it her fault for staying in bed? Did she not wish to get up? It was all Chu Yihan's fault for being too intense. He had tricked her last night, and what he called half an hour ended up being half an hour followed by another half hour. She had cried until her voice was hoarse, yet he was still full of vigor. Now she felt as if her whole body had been crushed, unable to straighten her back. "Humph. It's all your fault." Su Yingxue bit him resentfully, biting down hard on his lip, not stopping until it was broken. A trace of blood oozed from the corner of Chu Yihan's mouth, his otherworldly handsome face now carrying an added allure. With his collar slightly open, the blood trailed down his neck to his collarbone. The seductive image was nearly enough to cause a nosebleed. "Ah, this isn't fair, Chu Yihan, you're cheating." Su Yingxue covered her head with the bedsheet, crying out in frustration. How could he be so incredibly alluring? "Cheating, cheating. Your Highness doesn't mind continuing to cheat with you, but if you don't get up now, you'll miss a great drama and your chance to recognize your kin. That would mean failing the task entrusted by your Highness mother-in-law," said Chu Yihan, his voice tinged with a hint of regret. "That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."